Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so happy that you're here today. In today's video, I'm going to show you a creative way to swatch a paint palette for a book that I'm making full of swatches of all my watercolor palettes. I thought it would be nice to have them all in one place so that if I'm looking for something specific, I'll know where it is instead of having to drag out my one of my million palettes. So I thought it would just be a great way to just kind of keep them all together. I also wanted to take some time to chat about some different ways that we can work through and take care of our mental health. I just wanted to check in and maybe dig a little bit deeper regarding mental health. I hope you'll stick around for that. I know I'm not doing great. So, anyways, let's grab some palettes and go ahead and dive right in. For this page, I'm creating a fun mermaid theme, and I am using my Currents palette by Prima. The sketchbook I'm using is just kind of a generic sketchbook. It has paper that I don't really care for. It's not really meant for watercolors, but I don't really want to use it for anything else. So I thought this was kind of a great way to repurpose it. I'm going to begin by just swatching in order of the paints in the palette, and then I'm going to begin mixing some colors together just to keep things kind of interesting on the page. And I'm going to be outlining each scale with a metallic gold color as well. And I'm going to write a fun little quote at the end too. And I will list all of the supplies that I'm using in the description box like usual, so you can kind of find all those there. So while I'm painting, I'd really like to take some time now for a little mental health check in. First of all, I'd like to know how you're doing. I know not at my best right now, and I thought we could dig a little deeper into the way that we're feeling. I know the way that I'm feeling, and I'm just wondering maybe if some of you can relate. So I'm calling this Emily's TED Talk. So buckle up for that. I'm bringing up some shadow work right now because it's really been on my heart for something that I think I need to kind of dive into. And shadow work is really just taking the time to like look within. I automatically know some of the surface level issues that are contributing to like my declining mental state, but I haven't really liked my reaction or the way that I've been acting lately, kind of leading with rage and anger most of the time. And I'm hoping through some self reflection that I can find some semblance of peace. I've mentioned in several videos that I've been struggling this year. It's been tough to find positivity with all that's happening across the planet, including the heinous things happening in the United States. I know immersing myself in the news and social media leaves me feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, helpless, sad, and as I have previously stated, full of rage. Obviously, some of the things that contribute to feeling bad are out of our control and don't help with feelings of positivity. But those issues aside, I still find myself moving farther away from like my authentic self, feeling safe, finding joy. And I feel like I'm kind of abandoning the person that I want to be or become. Does anybody else feel like that? I think to begin, I just would like to ask why. Like, why do we spiral, isolate, and even kind of shut down? And here's where we're going to kind of dig a little bit deeper. I know it's not easy to look at our shadow selves, to dig into the stories that we tell ourselves, to see and find the parts of us that we have repressed, rejected, even disowned, the parts that feed our fears, insecurities, the negative self talk, and the lies that we tell ourselves, the parts of our personalities that we want to hide. We don't want to allow other people to see those parts. And I know that I have avoided uncomfortable feelings, thoughts, and even memories. However, it's been my experience that just admitting I have shadow parts is a start. And the only way to find peace and acceptance is to bring the shadows into the light. Embracing our shadow selves as well as the light within is really the only way to become whole. As the saying goes, there is no light without darkness. So, what actions can we take in order to step into our authentic selves, to love and accept the so called quote unquote unlovable parts of ourselves. This is going to get deep, but in short, we have to look at the stories we tell ourselves and where they stem from. What stories have other people told us that we in turn have attached to our identities? I found it interesting that when confronting some of the parts of myself that I don't like, many of them have actually stemmed from someone else's thoughts or opinions of me. And I'd like to share an example. I've been told that I'm too much, too loud, and too bold, that I need to sit down and be quiet. And for a long time, I took those comments as fact and attached them to my identity. I allowed the beliefs of others to make myself smaller, to feel insecure, to feel embarrassed, and to turn my back on those parts of myself. But several years ago, I worked through some of those insecurities and decided to take back my power and refuse to allow others to make me feel small. I want to be bold, to speak my mind, to fight for what I believe in, to be a leader, and to be unbound. All of those things make me me. And if I'm not being authentic to who I am, then how can I feel complete or feel confident or feel joyful? Of course, I have several other instances where I took on the beliefs of others as a part of myself. I have worked through some of those stories, but some are a lot bigger or more traumatic. But that being said, we can never give up trying to heal and to become the best versions of ourselves. I'd love to know if anybody else has felt this way or any of your experiences. You can always drop those in the comments. So, through what I like to call shadow work, we have to be willing to confront the quote unquote ugly parts of ourselves, learning to love them despite our harsh judgments of them. Through acceptance, compassion, and forgiveness of ourselves, we can begin healing. We can also expand our capacity for kindness and compassion for others, which is an area that I know I can work on. Of course, we can't tackle every feeling, emotion, or story all at once. So, the first kind of assignment that I'm giving myself on my road to peace is going to be to look a little deeper into my anger, to find the root of some of it and devise a plan to handle it better, find better outlets to cope with it when it flares up, to give myself some grace when it does boil over. And you know what? Maybe even use some of it to fuel some real change against the atrocities that are happening. But what does a healthy state of well being look like on a daily basis? What can we do to reframe our mindset? What actionable steps will contribute to building our best lives? And how do we apply positive practices more regularly in our own lives, even when we're feeling overwhelmed, sad, or angry? Well, becoming aware of triggers and observing our reactions is probably a great place to start. Being mindful of what and how we're feeling, asking what practices attribute to feeling happy, content, present, calm. I know that when I am at my best, I am energized to feed my spirit and to be kind and gentle with myself. I practice self care through diet, exercise, meditations, skincare, journaling, reading, and creating art, as well as connecting with others, with nature and the moon, learning new skills, and participating in programs that feed my soul. So, what does that look like when creating our to do lists and applying the practices we want to add into our daily lives? I believe we have to take a moment to consider our energy levels, to take into account the time our tasks may take, as well as how much capacity we have for those tasks and practices on any given day. I want to be really present when looking at my week ahead, to be mindful that the tasks and practices I'm adding will positively feed my spirit, my authentic self, and the way that I want to feel, and that they're contributing to the life I want to build for myself. I like to take some time on Sundays to look at an overview of my week ahead. I break each day down into categories: the have to do's, the want to do's, as well as a to do list. I start by listing all of the things that are immovable, such as work, upcoming appointments, and paying any bills that are due. Then I list the practices I would like to add to my daily routine. things like going to the gym, watering plants, etc. Then I create an ongoing to do list of items I want to finish within that week. Making a to-do list for each day can actually work against me at times because I can kind of beat myself up for not getting something checked off that day. So I like to just have a running list that I can cross off or add to each week to give me some wiggle room to tackle the tasks that I have the capacity for on any given day. My issue can be sometimes that when I am feeling sad or despondent or depressed, it is really hard for me to kind of dig myself out and be willing to do those things. But I've been diagnosed bipolar, and so when dealing with those ups and downs, it's just not easy for me. So I think the only way I can find daily success in handling the times that I'm kind of at my lows is to really just come up with some regular practices that I just can kind of do automatically that just become a part of my daily life no matter what. And forgive myself or give myself grace if there are some days that I just can't or don't do some of the things. But even if I can do 5 of the things that I want to do in a day, I think that's a success. So here's my plan that I'm kind of committing to for the next week or two. And I figure I'll check in with you real quick in my next video, and you can check in with me and maybe let me know how you're doing. I'm going to slow down, be present, and be mindful and check in with how I'm feeling. I tend to be flitting around so quick here and there and every which where that I never seem to take the moment that I need to reflect on how I'm actually feeling. If somebody says something, am I tucking that away or am I dealing with it in a good way? Or, if just something negative happens or if I see something, to take a minute to reflect on how it makes me feel and do something positive with that energy, whether it's, journaling or whatever. So I also want to limit my social media and my news intake the next week or two because it's just very overwhelming and it certainly is not contributing to a healthy state of mind. I want to reflect on some of my anger triggers and journal about them and just journal in general. Maybe at the end of the day, just maybe even if it's just a couple of sentences to just kind of check in with myself. I'm going to plan some healthy meals and I'd like to exercise at least 4 times. I actually do tend to exercise 3 to 4 times a week generally anyways. I'm definitely looking forward to cooler weather so that I can start walking again. It's just too damn hot. I also would like to create some art for just myself. I tend to create quite a bit for our videos. I just really want to dive into a project that's just for me. One of my next videos is actually going to be of me creating a project for my daughter's birthday. So that was really exciting. So I can't wait to share that with you. I also plan on walking in the grass without my shoes, which I also do a lot of the time when I'm watering my plants, my flowers outside and my garden. And I'm going to take the time to speak to my plants, which I also do a lot, but to really consciously be doing that, it just makes me happy. Being barefoot helps me just feel like I'm connecting to Mother Nature. It helps me feel more calm and it just helps kind of reframe my mind when I do that in the morning and in the evening. So I'm going to make a conscious effort to make sure that I'm doing that as well. And I want to bask in the sunlight. That's another thing I try to remember to do, but I forget quite often when it is sunny and I'm out watering to just stand in the sunlight for a minute, just soak in those sun rays and, kind of try to maybe recite something positive to myself or think of something positive and just kind of have that be a way to start my day. I also like to speak to the moon. Sometimes I don't want to talk to anybody, but speaking things out loud, what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking to the moon, it helps me to get it out, I guess, and it can kinda help me to deal with those things, for lack of a better way to kind of explain it, so I wanna kinda try to do that a little bit more consciously and connect with my family. And kind of one of the biggest things is I want to find some reasons to laugh. I don't feel like I laugh enough because I have been in such a negative state of mind. So I want to really seek out some some people and some things to really make me laugh, a book. I do like to watch like TikToks and YouTube videos of funny things, people falling, which I know isn't very nice, but it's actually funny with the compilation videos or just people doing really stupid things. So, and then there's some funny TV shows and different things, movies maybe that I could kind of dive into as well, just to have a little bit more levity in my days. So I'm sure there are things I forgot, but I think those are a great start. And again, it may seem like a lot. It's just because I'm listing them out, but many of those will just be kind of a part of my morning. And then I would like to, as I said, I think there's some things I forgot to add, but I'll kind of add them as they come up. All in all, slowing down, taking time to breathe and reflect, giving ourselves some grace and continuing to make the best choices we can in each moment can contribute to a better state of mind. I'd like to add a disclaimer that I am not a counselor. I just wanted to take some time to discuss the things that have worked for me and to come up with a working plan to help me and maybe you stay focused on what really matters and to create practices that we can build into our daily lives. If you are feeling really depressed or having thoughts of self harm, please seek professional help. I know in the United States, you can call or text Lifeline at 988. Please just let me know in the comments how you're doing. If you're going to work on anything, or if you're struggling with anything, if you're going to start maybe a self care practice, or if you have anything else that you'd like to share. I've said it before and I'll say it forever. Speaking our truths can give others the confidence to speak theirs too, because again, we are stronger together. And knowing that there are other people out there who are dealing with similar things or the same things can contribute to us not feeling so alone. And that can be a good feeling. I know this video was a little different than my regular content because of kind of what I've been talking about. But if you made it to the end of Emily's TED Talk, leave a little yellow heart in the comments section. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching and connecting with me. I'm so grateful for this little community that we are building and to have the opportunity to share what I'm feeling, as well as all of my art with you and teaching you some of the things that I know. I've really enjoyed it. Please let me know if you have any fun swatching ideas. And of course, if you have any questions. Currently, I am posting 2 videos a month, usually on Sundays. That changes sometimes. My next video will be of a watercolor gladiolus as part of the birth month flower series. So I hope you'll tune in for that. Thanks again for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. I know I'm planning on doing my best to take care of myself, and I'm sending you so many hugs. And until next time.